This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 166 of the Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we discuss allergy testing for horses. The critter of the show is the ragdoll cat. In Critter Nutrition, we introduce Biostar's new Hedgerow paste. And in Coffee Klatch, we ask, what mythical creature would you like as a pet? Join us. I'm Tigger.
And I'm Patty.
And this is Coach Jen. Thanks for joining us. This is the Healthy Critters crew. We get together twice a month and chat about all things healthy and critter.
And all things critters.
And all things critters. This is the part of the show, oftentimes my favorite part, because I get to quiz Patty and Tigger because they show up sliding into third base with dirt on their knees and go, what are we going to talk about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You've never experienced such a thing before, have you?
No.
Well, here's what we're going to talk about. Our little chit chat before we get to allergy testing for horses. The words "I'm brain dead" came out of someone's mouth before we got started this afternoon. We won't say any names, Tigger. So we're going to start with Tigger, since you initiated this conversation. When you are brain dead, what is it about your furry friends that helps you take a chill? Because everybody knows when you're brain dead, you're also stressed. What is it about your dogs, your cats, your chickens, your horses? What do they give you that helps you go, I can be okay now?
Well, the dogs, just their sheer presence. They're comforting, and they don't ask anything, and they don't want to talk about anything, and they just want to be. And that when I'm brain dead, that helps a lot. But, I find in periods of brain deadness that I also get a tremendous amount of ease from being outside with the trees and the plants.
Ah, interesting. So out of doors where open spaces and fresh air and that sort of thing?
I get a lot of comfort from the trees.
Interesting. Now, are you a be in the woods, sit under a specific tree, enjoy the shade?
Well, this is a very old farm, so there's a lot of very old trees. So I have some favorite trees in the forest, but just around the house, there are some really, 150-year-old trees. And I just like to be in their presence. I find them very grounding, and, I feel like their message is, who cares about brain fog? Just, be in balance and be in the present.
Aw, isn't that nice? How about you, Patty?
Yeah. Almost exactly what Tigger said for the animals. I just think because when you first said that, the first thing I thought is that they just don't ask of anything. So that is always nice. But I am also with Tigger, very much a big person on being outside. And right now, I love my back porch. It just kind of, I live, it's a neighborhood, but they're all like several acre lots. And for the exception of my neighbor when she's home and lets her dogs bark incessantly, I can just sit out on the back porch. Yeah. Got some good stuff going on there, but that's a whole other story. But just being able to be outside. And I think not having to, and of course, like, Tigger and I talked about stuff like this forever, but just being outside and just like watching around. It's like my horse now, Hal, I don't care if this horse ever makes it anywhere. He is truly joy to me. Like, he just is joy. And he just, if I'm having a stressful day or if I'm brain dead, one of my favorite things is I love turning him out and watching him run. But just run and go see the other horses, and everything he does has joy in it. And it just, I love that whole, I don't know, it just makes every cell in my body happy.
Aw, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Aw,
Yeah.
yay. See?
What about you, Jen? What about you?
Well, I am going to have a little of each, in that I love me a walk in the woods. I find nothing more cleansing to my soul than a walk in the woods. Doesn't matter where the woods. Well, I like some woods more than others. Woods that are on vacations, woods that are around the corner. But I want a path, and I want trees all around me.
Mm-hmm.
And to kick up the wonderfulness just a little bit further, I love to take my horse for a walk. Other people take their dogs for a walk. Well, we don't have a dog right now. Honestly, I love to take my horse for a walk. He walks along and he interacts with his world just like dogs do. He's sniffing stuff and stopping to poop and looking at the stuff in the distance and spooking at butterflies. It's just like having a giant dog to take for a walk. So
that's great.
A little of each. But you're right. That whole they're not asking me any questions, because I frequently suffer from decision fatigue. But they don't ask me for anything. Just go. We're fine. Just, you don't need to talk. And then that's it helps things clear and relax a little bit. Yeah. I like it. Yay.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
Cool.
Well, today's topic is going to be allergy testing for horses. So Tigger,
Yes.
how did you become inspired to ask this question?
Because we're kind of in allergy season, spring and fall. And I just personally think the need for allergy testing in horses has risen as horses become more sensitive to the environment and what's in the environment and what's in their food. And it's very interesting to me, because 5 years ago, when I would get, a difficult case, and we go through all the testing that they've done, EPM and Lyme's, and they've done a CBC, and they've done this and that, and and they still can't figure it out. And I go, well, have you done like a sensitivity test on foods and molds and haze? And no. And for a while, there was kind of a pushback from veterinarians saying, well, the test isn't all that accurate, and And I agree. It's not a perfect test by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something to look at and go, okay, none of these other things have worked. Maybe we should, do this and see about elimination and take something out of the diet that the horse is obviously testing strongly to, and see if it makes a difference. So it just got me thinking. Recently, I've had a couple of consults, and the vets have been, putting in, doing allergy testing, which I think is fantastic. I think it's an important topic, because so often it's forgotten that we do have this test that can be really helpful in horses that just don't seem, they're not lame, but they're not quite right.
That famous ADR, ain't doing right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's just a great way to start. So that's why I wanted to talk about allergy testing.
So for somebody who has never had a horse, or a dog for that matter, go through allergy testing, Tigger, what does that look like? What happens? What do they do?
It's a blood test. There is a skin test for dogs, I believe, where they'll pick up, like there is for humans, where they'll pick an allergen and, do a pinprick. But for horses, it's a blood test. And there are several labs that do, run the blood against trees, grasses, hay, feed, different feed components, the common ones. mites, mosquitoes, bugs. And it's really, and then they give you a numerical number. So when you get the results back, a lot of the tests will be in red where the horse is over the line. So they're testing strongly to a potential allergen. And then you just go through it. And some things you can do nothing about, mosquitoes. I mean, you can do as much as you can, but horses that are allergic to mosquitoes or allergic to dust, you can do the best that you can, but you're never going to eliminate them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too, because I had to go through this with Hal last year, because he really started itching his tail just right off and whatever. So I did the blood test, and one of the things that my vet had shared with me, and two things. Number one, Dr. Ober, when I spoke to him, because I was like, do I do the skin test or I do the blood test? Because I've heard different things about this. I don't know if you've gone through this, Tigger, but the one thing that Dr. Ober told me, he said, be aware that some of the things that when you take the blood, or if you are eating Timothy hay, if your horse is, that some of it is what they're ingesting or what they have around them at the time that's high.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you've got to take some of because I was like, oh my gosh, everything's in red. I'm putting them in bubble wrap. You can't do that. So some of these things as they get older, and this, Hal's, was 5 and coming 6, and he's better this year, because I was going to do the whole allergy shot thing. But it was just interesting to understand, the barn that I'm in is incredibly clean. And one of the things that he was highly allergic to, which is kind of funny, was roach dust, or roach dust that roaches leave. Well, you can't really do anything about that, And no. He said, but by next year, it may not be as much of an issue for him. Because I was starting to panic. You know what I mean? Oh my, everything. So that was kind of an interesting thing for me to understand.
I generally start with the really high markers.
Yeah.
So if the horse has an allergy or is testing high to Timothy, but is testing higher to orchard grass, I'll start with the elimination of the orchard grass.
Mm-hmm.
And does that make a difference?
Sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's a process. It's not, sometimes it's a really quick fix. In the case of some of the food items, the non-hay items like soy or corn or molasses or beet pulp, very common allergens for a lot of horses. As soon as you remove it, beet pulp. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to stop you on your thought, but I just want to make sure I understood that. Okay.
Yeah. And we'd have to dive in a little deeper to find out if it's, is it how the beet pulp is processed? We don't know the particulars, but if you take out, let's just say it's a soy reaction that's high, like 200, and you remove all the soy from the horse's diet, generally within days to a week, there's a change.
So for horses with allergies, in your experience, Tigger, how do the horses manifest the allergies? Is it always itchy, scratchy skin, or are there other things?
No, it can be constant recurring ulcers at a low level. It can be constant gas colics that aren't terrible, that you can pull out with some Banamine, but you can tell the horse is uncomfortable a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It can also manifest in just not wanting to go forward, not wanting to move, and it doesn't necessarily translate to hives or the obvious, acute allergy response. This is build up over time.
Mm-hmm. So if I understand correctly how allergens work, you can have a large number of positives that are not way off the chart, but they're cumulative. If you have a whole bunch of them that are just barely over the edge, the horse is going to have just as much difficulty as having one that's way, 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 way over the edge. They kind of work that way.
I wouldn't make a blanket statement like that. I think when a horse has a strong reaction to a food, and then there are lower reactions in other foods and hays and trees and things, that could be just that the immune system is so stressed that it's caused this insensitivity down the line. So that's why I start with kind of either, one or two things that are really high. That becomes what we eliminate. And what is really interesting is when you do the elimination, what I call the elimination diet, taking the allergens out of the diet. With some horses, in a year or so, you can reintroduce them.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a big thing that I was understanding. Yeah, I've heard as well.
It's not necessarily a permanent situation.
Well, don't you think too, Tigger, if there's like other things that they're high on, and if you do a complete elimination, then you probably calm the body down a little bit, and so maybe that Timothy hay wasn't such a big deal, but it was the soy that was the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
And there are all these other factors that you just don't know. I mean, an allergy test is not going to tell you, but, maybe it was some desiccant in the hay. And, maybe that was something that was sprayed on the hay or grown in the ground in the hay the horse is sensitive to. So there are other factors. It's not so black and white, but I find that allergy testing, especially when you can't, when you and your vet do everything possible to figure out why this horse isn't feeling great as usual or as normal, that allergy testing is just an underutilized tool. And I see this because by the time somebody's calling me, a lot of times, the horses, they've already gone through all the other tests, and it's sort of like, well, now what?
Now what?
Go, okay, have you done the allergy test? And they do it, and then we do another consult, and I look at it, and I say, okay, let's eliminate this and this, and that starts the process, because the longer you ignore the allergen, the more you stress the immune system. The more you stress the immune system,
and then other things can go.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times, I know, and if only these sensitivities to environmental sensitivities and food sensitivities showed up like they do in humans, like not anaphylactic shock or anything, but swelling and hives and huge histamine release, and oh my gosh, yeah. But in a lot of horses, it's cumulative.
I think that's the takeaway there, is that it's all cumulative, and if you have no clue at all what's accumulating away under there, it's a good thing to have as a baseline. If you have one of those horses that's just got a little bit of ADR going, and you're spending piles of money on all kinds of diagnostic tools, you may as well add that to your kit, right?
And I've gotten to the point, because there are so many horses with sensitivities, that, maybe it needs to be you start with one allergy test and you follow it up a year later and see where the horse is and what's changed and what's improved. Sort of like we do with a CBC, you run a CBC every year. Maybe you don't run an allergy test every year, but you at least run one and then follow it up a year later and see where you are.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Well, because because I don't know if you've done this, Tigger, because I was just sitting here listening to what you were saying. So last year when I did the blood work on Hal, they went over everything with my vet, and they wanted me to do allergy shots. And and it was funny because he was super itchy, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to eliminate. He was high on Timothy and a couple other things, and he eats a whole food diet. He's a Biostar horse. But
yes, he is.
So, I mean, everything he was fine on alfalfa, but it was really the Timothy. And that was the one thing I had changed when I had been in Florida and kept them on Timothy. And it turns out a lot of mine couldn't do Timothy. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait. I don't know why. I was like, I just don't want to stick him with this stuff. And I don't know. It just didn't feel right. So I didn't do it. I eliminated the Timothy and took him. I forgot what else. I took him off something else, and he still will sometimes rub his tail because that's the big indicator. But he is so much better than he was, and I'm so glad I didn't do it because. And again, I'm not trying to say to everybody out there, don't listen to your vet, because that's not what I'm advocating. It just, for me, I kept thinking, I think I can fix this by taking out these few things.
Yep.
And honestly, here I am a year later.
When it's food related, that's an easy, not fix, but I mean, elimination is pretty easy. But when it's environmental, like bugs and,
it's hard. That's
free
hard.
pollen,
Really hard.
and that, to me, if the horse is really struggling with that might be, those things might be good for
absolutely, yes,
the actual
when you go to the shots. Because you got to help your horse's immune system. So that was my whole thing. And like I said, he really doesn't like him roach dust. And I knew I couldn't fix that, but he also had said there's a very likely chance, because he's 5-6 is when they tend to really start to mature, and that he'll get over that. And so it's funny, I wasn't even thinking about it, but I think I may rerun the blood panel just to see.
I would do that, and I would be interested to see, based on the high food that he was sensitive to, that you've eliminated, that might really bring down the roach sensitivity as well. It's like the system gets hyper-stimulated. It's
of course.
It can stimulate into more things. So when you bring down the actives, then a lot of other things quiet down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of calming things down, I think it's time for us to call Hedwig, the world's only podcasting Pomeranian. What do you think?
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Hetty.
Hi. What's up? What's up? Everyone good? We're all enjoying ourselves, loving our lives, living our best lives, are we?
Oh, yes.
Well,
are we endeavoring not to be horrible?
We've been discussing cats on the show.
Cats. Mm-hmm. Nice. I like cats.
Okay, that's what we wanted to know. What's your relationship with the kitties at your farm?
Oh, I mean, we're buddies. I'm basically part cat. Pomeranians are not fully dog or cat. We're liminal creatures. We're sort of cat dogs, or dog cats. We're very independently minded, much like a cat. We have priorities. We do not want to be petted by people for no reason. We like snacks. We sleep a lot. We groom our paws. We do adorable things with our paws to our faces. We don't like to be groomed. We hate baths. In these ways, we are cat-like.
Interesting.
But how about your relationship with, you have a kitty friend? Do you hang out with the kitties?
I hang out with my sister, Christabel. Are you slow? I feel like after all this time, maybe you would know this. I have the one friend, Christabel. She is my sister. I spend all day with her. My brother, Cowboy, who is a goblin, often accompanies us. And then I have two other sisters who are mutants, but I tolerate their presence. The cat does what the cat does. It has cat activity, priorities, cat things. I don't get in the way. I don't impede. I don't enable. I would take her food.
Would you describe the canine feline populace as separate but equal?
Well, the goblin chases the cat, but he's totally inept at it, and he gets yelled at every time. So just when he starts to take off, the human yells, "Cowboy, knock that off!" And so he tries to stop, and then he's on hardwood floors, so he spins in a circle every time.
Oh, Cowboy needs his own TikTok.
I think the cat may deliberately taunt him to make that happen.
Oh, I hope so.
I would.
Yes, I hope so.
Anyway. But yeah, I mean, the cats are well treated in our home. They have their own room, essentially, where they do cat things that they do. And then the one cat also, spends a lot of time in the barn, leaping in and out of the hayloft, pretending to be Super Cat.
Oh, I think it would be interesting sometime, Hedwig, if you could ask Super Cat if they wouldn't mind coming on and telling us a little bit about the life of Super Cat. We would like to hear that.
We can certainly speak with Elphaba. She's a special snowflake. I'm just warning you.
There we go. Well, you're a pretty special little fluff ball too, there, Hedwig. So you know, we're okay with that.
I am as nothing compared to that one. I do not think I can fly.
Well, thank you very much, Hedwig, for filling us in on the feline canine balance of power in your home.
Détente.
There we go. Thank you. Bye-bye, Hedwig.
Bye, Hetty.
Bye.
And now it's time for the breed of the show.
So we are at our breed of the show segment, and I realized that I have never done the ragdoll cat, and I own two. So I thought this would be a perfect critter to do. And apparently, Jen, you have some feedback on this too, so I can't wait to hear about this. So I have two. I have a seal point, and that's a female, and I have a gray, which is actually, the color is called sepia, and he actually is as soon as I started talking, he came right over to say hello to me. Big, beautiful green eyes. And I got them when I was in Virginia, and I was doing it. At the time, I probably only had 5 dogs, and I thought, boy, I need another animal. So why not get some cats? And so a friend told me they were a great cat, and I have to say they're wonderful cats, and they're known as cat dogs, or the puppy cat. Because they really are very dog-like. They're known for being very gentle and calm and very sociable. And I can absolutely attest that they have a dog-like devotion to their owners. They're very, very devoted. Well, mine most of the time will come when I call them, and it's great. Like anytime, like in the middle of the night, if I don't know where they are, I can call them and they'll actually come, which is really quite cool. They truly are ideal pets for apartments and living, because they're very content to laying around on their furniture. They are quite content to hang out all day doing that. They're super great with kids, and they're really good with other animals. So I pause on that just a little bit, because Fupa, who is my seal point, who is truly, if anybody ever wanted to know who was princess of the world, she lives in my house. Or I live in her house, but she is she's just queen of the Nile, and she thinks everything is hers. And if she doesn't like you moving her, she'll definitely talk to you about it. But she's not a swatter. She never puts her nails out. They're very, very, very vocal. And that can be, well, I don't want to make fun of Gabriel. He can be a bit melodramatic sometimes. For example, if the water isn't completely appropriate at the right height in the continuous water. Now, I have several waters in the house for the dogs and the cats to drink out of. Gabriel likes a certain one. He will come and get you from your room, yelling at you till you follow him to the water thing. And you can look at it and say, well, there's perfect amount in there. He wants fresh water. So so you have to give him fresh water, which I think is actually quite smart. But he has done this new recent thing where he comes and gets me every morning to yell at me because he wants me to watch him eat his food. So there has to be, a line of where you draw back on them. But there's just great personable cats. So they are, some of the cons are, they are long haired. You do have to brush them. Really, they say twice a week, at least once a week, because their hair will kind of mat. This is kind of was a weird thing. Of course, when you get a ragdoll, you're generally hopefully getting them from a reputable breeder. But there's this thing that I had to sign on the contract saying, don't let them go outside. Not exactly sure why, but honestly, I think it's because they're not very worldly in the outdoor adventure scene. So they'll come and hang with me on the porch and then very quickly be like, yo, girl, open that door because I got to go back inside. There's too many flies out here. You have to be mindful of their weight because they can be fatty pants. They easily can be quite large. The females can get up to 15 pounds and some males up to 20. Mine are in good shape. And the last little tidbit about them that I love is that you can actually teach them to do things. Like you can teach them to retrieve, or they can teach me to retrieve things for them. But the point is that they're really just an intelligent, fun, low-key cat. Now, one of the things, and I don't know, Jen, because I'm anxious to hear about your dealings with them, but the reason I wanted to get one is because they say that the term ragdoll means you pick them up and they just sort of flop around like a doll. I mean, sort of they do that. I will find them constantly. I'll be coming around the corner out of my bedroom and they'll just be laying on the floor completely sprawled out. That's what I think they're talking about. So what is your experience with them?
I had a ragdoll cat once that we adopted through a local shelter. And the only experience I had with our ragdoll cat was, yes, he was friendly, and he was kind of floppy when you picked him up, and he was allergic to everything.
Really?
Which is kind of ironic considering our roundtable topic. Yes, that poor kitty. We could not find a food that would make his tummy happy. No.
Oh no.
He was allergic to, which I'm sure is how he got to the shelter to begin with.
Yeah. What did you end up feeding him?
We had to take him back because we couldn't. You
could figure it out. Yeah,
we could not.
And I will say, these guys definitely. My sweet husband is the one that goes and buys the cat food, and one time he bought the wrong color bag, and I talk about being yelled at. They both. Well, Fuba just didn't say anything to me. She wouldn't make eye contact with me. She laid on the couch. She wouldn't move over. Like she wanted nothing to do with me. Gabriel every day would go in and be like, "That's wrong. That's wrong." And I didn't pick up on it right away because I put it in a big thing and I just give it to him. And then when I realized,
wrong color bag, Ma. Yeah.
They're of Peter's ways. We corrected that very quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that they just wouldn't eat it. And to me, that's smart because obviously there's something about that cat food that he didn't think was right. I mean, all joking aside, he does run my life. However,
there you go.
I took that very seriously.
Yeah.
But I mean,
our poor little ragdoll had to go back to the shelter because he didn't have any claws. So we couldn't, because they said, it's like, well, just let him be an outdoor kitty. That way, if he has diarrhea all over the place, he's outdoors. It's okay. It's like, no, can't do that. Don't have any claws. You can't be outdoors. Yeah. So it was very sad. Yeah. And,
I'm sorry to hear that.
But I'm a sucker for kitties. So now here I am on Pet Finder looking at kitties.
Well, I'm going to send you when I find the picture of my two when they were kittens. Oh my gosh, they were the cute. I mean, they're addictive. They're just the cutest things.
So
in the world.
with the ragdoll kittens, do you have other breeds of kitty cat too, or just the two ragdolls?
I just have the two ragdolls.
Two ragdolls. Okay, because I was wondering how because some breeds of cat are well known for being very social, others are not so much. I didn't know where the ragdolls fell on that friendliness to other cats spectrum.
I don't know how to answer that because they've never seen another cat. But I will say this. Last year, I was getting a little bit overwhelmed with how much hair I had in the house. And so I had them shaved in a line cut, which, by the way, cutest freaking thing I've ever did. My entire family thought I was nuts. But Fupa didn't know who Gabriel was. And for 3 weeks, every time he would walk in the room, she would hiss and spit at him.
Oh, my gosh. Poor thing.
So I don't think, and Gabriel was like, whatever. Like, he would just look at her like, it's me. Don't I look awesome? I mean, they looked ridiculous, but it was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And because they had a big poof of a head, and I left their legs, and they had a ball on their tail. It was like, seriously, it was really funny. I may do that again, Gabriel. But but they're very friendly. Like, if other dogs come over, they're fine. And they stand their ground. It's like, I have a friend who has a golden retriever, can be a bit much when he first comes in, and they won't move off the couch. And if he gets too much in their space, like they'll spit at him. I've never seen them have their claws out, but they definitely, tell them to stay away, and they just lay there, I think, and they're definitely smart enough to get up and go away, but they're really easy with other animals.
There we go.
Cat.
There we go.
Yeah.
Onward.
There you go.
And now we're at Critter Nutrition, and I'm going to talk about Biostar's new Hedgerow paste. This paste came about because of the success of our Hedgerow GI powder supplement, and which got me thinking about a fast-acting paste. To create Hedgerow paste, we've taken the key ingredients in Hedgerow GI, several gut-supportive forage plants of traditional English hedgerows, and given the formula an extra boost from Trifala. It's another GI-supportive herbal blend rooted in traditional Ayurvedic medicine. In addition, we included probiotic strains plus apopectin and sunflower lecithin, which are both known for their gastroprotective qualities. When given in combination, all these ingredients help to establish homeostasis in the GI tract, address gas, bloating, diarrhea, reduce gastric distress from travel and competition, ease adverse GI impact from feed or hay changes or lush pasture. Hedgerow paste combines knowledge through the ages, traditional European gut and digestive support plant, an Eastern Ayurvedic blend of fruiting bodies, plus fulvic acid and gastric support provided by 21st century microbiome science. The convenient paste with oral syringe ensures speedy delivery of active probiotic strains, as well as the apopectin and sunflower lecithin for gastric protection in horses that need it most. What goes into Hedgerow paste? Organic Trifala powder is composed of 3 fruits native to South Asia. It's one of the most recommended and widely used herbal blends in all of Ayurvedic medicine. Trifala is considered balancing and is recommended for nourishing and rejuvenating the GI tract. Trifala supports not only proper functioning of the digestive system, but also supports the circulatory and respiratory system. Bacillus subtilis is a beneficial spore-forming probiotic strain that can resist acids in the stomach, allowing it to pass safely into the small intestine where it blocks pathogenic bacteria. This allows other beneficial bacteria strains to colonize. Bioflora EQ is a unique Biostar probiotic blend that includes Lactobacillus casei, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, Bifidobacterium lactis, Bifidobacterium longum, Lactobacillus acidophilus, inulin, and MOS. The bacteria strains are microencapsulated to ensure passage through the stomach. Organic fennel helps with healthy digestion, excess gas, supports a healthy GI tract. Celtic sea salt is key for hydration. It provides electrolytes and can facilitate the absorption and transportation of nutrients in the intestines. Organic peppermint leaf is known to assist with indigestion, gas, and bloating. Reed sedge peat can help restore the integrity of the gut membrane and support the tight junctions of the gut, which play an important role in intestinal barrier function. A dysfunctional or leaky intestinal tight junction allows endotoxins, antigens, and bacteria to permeate into the bloodstream. Apopectin used in Hedgerow paste is the same quality used by doctors for wound management and healing. Apopectin coats the GI tract, preserving the gut-brain barrier while providing protection that allows for better healing of the intestinal mucosa. Sunflower lecithin supports cell membrane health by providing a barrier against potential damage to tissue from stomach acids. Because of its fast-acting delivery, Hedgerow paste can be given anytime your horse needs GI tract support. Because it's pre-packed in an oral syringe, it's easy to have on hand and administer, especially in situations where mixing and measuring isn't convenient. For instance, at shows, horses can sometimes get quirky about eating or begin to display other signs of stress. Hedgerow paste can help return the GI tract to homeostasis. During a hay change, feed change, or access to rich pasture, Hedgerow paste supports the gut microbiome and helps support a healthy balance within the microbial community. During times of excess gas or diarrhea, Hedgerow paste provides beneficial bacteria to the gut as well as helpful herbs to support healthy digestive flow and function. Hedgerow paste is part of our upcoming 2-component supplement, Hedgerow Pronto. While Hedgerow GI is an important supplement for gut health on a regular basis, Hedgerow Pronto is a dual action approach that can be used for more immediate or temporary situations. Hedgerow Pronto consists of Hedgerow mash, given first with water to help cleanse the system. Hedgerow paste, given 1 hour later to protect and soothe. Hedgerow Pronto is show safe and conveniently packaged for easy use and storage. Available October 2022.
You know, at Biostar, they believe that educating and empowering more horse people about whole food nutrition, we will better be able to care for our horses as well as our planet. Biostar EQ also proudly supports truth in labeling efforts, providing comprehensive labels on all of their products and supporting information on their website. Their products contain nothing genetically engineered, synthetic, or artificial, no petroleum derivatives or other man-made in-the-lab vitamins, no fillers, binders, or excipients. Only pure, best-in-class whole food ingredients.
And we're coming to the end of the show, and it's one of our favorite segments, which is Coffee Klatch. Mm-hmm. And the topic today is, if you could have any mythological pet, what would you choose?
I'm laughing because this is a challenge for Patty. So go ahead.
Actually, it was quite easy, and I'm really quite proud of myself. And I'm going to wait for you guys to go. Once I got it, I was really, it's slam dunk. Go ahead, you guys go.
Oh,
first.
Good. Jen?
Oh, I get to go first. I get to go first. See, this was a tough one because I picked two, but I'm going to go with the first one I thought of. I'm going with the jackalope.
But they're real. Jackalopes are real.
I remember so distinctly as a little child the first time I ever came across a jackalope. That is the coolest idea ever.
Yeah.
Coolest idea ever.
That is funny.
So of course I had to go down the rabbit hole, of who invented the jackalope.
Right.
The jackalope was invented in the 1930s by Douglas Herrick and his brother. And they sold them at a local hotel in Douglas, Wyoming, and there has been an effort to make the jackalope the official non-existent animal of Wyoming, the state not real animal. Yes.
So that's funny.
I think it would be fun to have a jackalope. You could put it on a little leash and walk it,
Or drag it.
Or drag it.
They're not real.
Because they're not real.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, for my mythological creature, I would like to have my own dragon.
Of course you would. Which kind? There's so many.
I know. I think a water dragon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're I can't remember if it's the Hopis or the Navajos that the water dragon. Oh, no. It's even older than that. I think it goes back to the Aztecs or the Mayans. Their creation myth is a dragon who brought wisdom and peace. It was the bearer of wisdom and peace. I went, so that's good with me. I would like to have a pet that is really big with wisdom and peace. So yeah. I can see myself walking, through Wellington with my dragon.
Some people have lizards, some people have dragons. Yeah. So
there we go. I didn't know that. See, you learn something every day. How about you, Patty?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a little angry that I didn't go first because I also chose a dragon, but I chose a specific dragon, and it's a great one. The one Toothless in How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh my gosh!
Because that I loved. So and it was funny because as soon as you said this is what we had to do, I'm like, oh, I would totally do a dragon. I'm like, okay, well, my favorite dragon is Toothless, and I don't know why, but my one Frenchie, when he runs towards me, reminds me of, and I don't know if you guys have you seen it? I know Tigger's seen it. Have you seen it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. It's just, oh my gosh, just how freaking cute that dragon is. So that's what I would have. I'd have that exact one. And I never really, his teeth were retractable. It was kind of cute. So that's what I would have.
So everybody has to go out and watch How to Train Your Dragon. I think Toothless is in number 2, right?
I think he's in the first one.
Is he in the first one too?
Oh,
that's right. He comes in right at the end of the first one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just go watch both of them because they're both really fun.
Yeah. Because they're.
Yeah.
And isn't there 3? 3 or 2 or 3? But anyway, it's a good one. That's definitely
the music from the first one is what Charlotte rode to with Valero to win her gold medal.
Well, right. There's a reason to watch it too. Well, see, here's what you need to do. This weekend, you're going to binge on How to Train Your Dragon movies, and then you're going to go to YouTube and pick up Charlotte's freestyle because it's on YouTube somewhere. Everything is. So there you go. That's your binging for the weekend.
For your wall.
And get a jackalope for your wall. I'm sure they're available on Amazon.
I'm sure they are.
There we go. Well, that wraps it for today, ladies.